Oh, before the questions, though, I forgot to mention, Spartan-Ops is going to be playable at San Diego Comic-Con next week.
Okay, let's start with the person that I can't see on this side.
Yes, hello. One of the biggest questions that I think is, that's on my mind, is do you think that you'd be able to hold true to the Halo storyline? Because with all the fan base that's been gathered over the few games that have been made, I'm being led to believe that there might be a big disappointment if y'all don't do it right.
Well, I mean, if I didn't bathe correctly this morning, that would be disappointing. So you got, first off, you got to scrub everything, folks. No, we're working hard. We understand that pressure, but it's the external pressure, the pressure from the fans is something that we think about every day. But I have to be blunt, like that pales in significance compared to the internal pressure among the team members and our extended team members to make every single person in that building right now is trying to make the best game they've ever worked on, and that's who we hire, and that's who you should hire. So the pressure is there, and we'll let the fans decide when the game comes out, but the effort and the energy poured into that effort is unbelievable. So that's all we can do.
Thank you.
You want to come up here? Okay, person I can't see on the right.
I have a question for Forge. Are we going to get like weather or like time of day settings at all?
Am I doing that? I think you should take that one, Frank.
No. I will say there's a lot of things that you can do with the tools that are in there and obviously the fact that you render shadows and real-time lighting and stuff like that is really going to change the look of it. But one of my favorite things about the new lighting engine is the fact that the warning that it is now rendering the light is literally not on screen long enough for you to read the whole thing. So but I think you're going to be able to see an awful lot of really distinctive looking Forge maps that don't have the sameness that they've had traditionally, and things are just going to look much, much better.
Yeah, kind of like Mike mentioned earlier, we have a really nice variety of Forge environments where this is probably the most tame of them, honestly. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, I should point out that is one of the Forge environments that's available and one of the palettes that we're talking about. So there's a lot of visual variety that will solve that, we think.
Actually, I shouldn't give this to you because you just want to kick our ass. You should just go back. No, I'm just kidding. Come up. Right?
How much of the book canon is actually going to make it into this new trilogy?
How much of the, sorry?
The book canon?
Oh, certainly the last, the Greg Bear novels and the Karen Travis novels are doing a lot of really significant setup. So in this case, a huge amount. Typically in the past, the books have, they've been separate stories. They're all canonical, but they've been sort of separated by distance and time in a way that we're not anymore. You won't need to read the novels to understand it, but anyone who's actually invested in that fiction is going to have a lot of notes of resonance and surprise when they play the game because there's an awful lot of that material in there, and it's been really good universe building for us in the interim.
I believe we'll have some news soon on that front, but you didn't hear it from me. Left?
My question is, can we drop weapons and can we lower weapons? And are you allowed to say?
Kynan?
Yeah, we'll fully support those features for multiplayer.
All right.
Right?
Okay, so I know that you've got all the new loadouts and new weapon drop features. Is there going to be a classic playlist without those?
So, I mean, the simple answer to this question, I'll let Kynan elaborate, is that we actually haven't finished the matchmaking playlists for the game. Okay. We're working on that now, obviously, as we sort of tune and finalize the rest of the systems. We're definitely going to concentrate on a fairly traditional but streamlined playlist selection when the game launches. But honestly, the real answer is that's all we can really say at this point. You're obviously going to see things like Infinity Slayer and traditional Slayer variants in there, but we're trying to make sure that we have a nice, focused, concise playlist management system in place for when Halo 4 launches. We definitely had a sort of complicated set of situations with Halo Reach, especially with the title update. The good news is that Reach started to creep back up in the charts as a result of some of that, but we understand people's frustration with how many playlists there are, things like Squad Slayer being moved out and all that stuff. So we take it really seriously. It's just a really hard problem to deal with. And we'll have more to say about the playlists closer to launch, but I think everyone in this room will certainly be happy with the selection.
All right, thank you.
Did we just do the right or the left? I think I'm the one who's supposed to be keeping track of this. I don't know which side we're on. Left?
Yeah. This side. Okay.
Go
For
ahead.
Forge, will there be an undo and/or redo command?
Yes, the infinite undo request. Yeah, the short answer is no. Apparently, because Forge supports networked, you can have actually multiple players in there. It was just something that we looked into a lot. We really wanted to do it. It was just a huge undertaking. So hopefully what we've done by adding all these new accessibility features is hopefully reduce the need for that.
Yeah. I'd say that the combination of magnets and the ability to repeat object placements takes care of the vast majority of undo and redo situations. You're really just an X button to delete or a repeat away from both of those scenarios. It actually feels like it to me.
Will there be any in-game rewards for previous Halo titles?
I actually don't know what the achievements look like for that stuff. The answer is we don't know. On this panel, about 50 people back at the office are raging at me right now because they know, but we don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question. With the Halo fan base, there's a big difference, or in the video game world, there's sort of a big discrepancy between the Halo fan base and the Call of Duty fan base, and it's kind of a rivalry. It's not really based on reason. It's just kind of a prejudice. We hate each other because they're not us, And there's a lot of things that y'all have talked about in like Infinity Slayer and things, and with customizable classes, with instant respawns, with grenade indicators on your reticle, with sprint being a trait and stuff like that. Things that are seem to be very Call of Duty oriented, and we're bringing them into Halo. Have y'all considered that, with your fan base, and will that mess them up?
Yeah, I mean, we deal with this question a lot. I think that certainly in terms of customizing your player, it's really not the same thing at all. I use the metaphor. It's like tuning your car for handling rather than swapping a V8 engine into it. It's fairly subtle in the long run. But things like grenade indicators, that's just something people are used to, and we're trying to make the game absolutely approachable for new players as well as old players. And to your point, there's whole generations of players who've grown up now without ever having played Halo, and so they don't know how it's supposed to be or how it's supposed to feel. So we're trying to make some of those UI and sort of education decisions about the game's content with new players in mind, with intergenerational players in mind. But ultimately, the simple fact of the matter is it doesn't really play or feel like Call of Duty in any way whatsoever. The loadout system, I've said this before, but it's literally true. The loadout system, when we were first looking at it, looked more like Gradius' loadout system in the arcade game from 1986 than it did anything else. So a lot of these are just systems that get moved around and revisited and reused in appropriate places. But we're not trying to take anything away from Call of Duty. I play Black Ops myself all the time, and they're just two completely different feeling experiences. Hard to explain that to your mom when you're playing an FPS, but that's how it feels for me.
So I can also jump in a little bit on this one. Having a certain affinity, we've actually worked on Halo and Call of Duty games, so we have a ton of experience. And I'll say, what Frank's saying is absolutely correct. I think you guys can, if you're willing to wait in a long line, can actually go try hands-on yourself and get a sense for how it feels. But yeah, it's Halo all the way, no question about it. And Adam and I both have spent a lot of time also working on the Call of Duty stuff. And what you do there, it's more than just loadouts and those sorts of things that differentiate these games. There's a lot to do with a lot of other mechanics, a lot of the way that vehicles work, a lot of the way you approach map design. Honestly, is really fundamentally different. And what we've done in Halo 4 multiplayer is incredibly true to the Halo franchise. No question about it.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So in the book Ghost of Onyx, spoiler alert, but at the end, Halsey and I believe it's Blue Team is left in a micro Dyson sphere, and I was wondering if
that the Spartans there, the Spartan 3s and 2s, would be included in Halo 4 or the trilogy?
They will not be in Halo 4, but we have plans for everyone that you just mentioned in terms of following up on their story. And actually, Ghosts of Onyx is a good example of where we took a book and we told Eric, make sure that this doesn't interfere with this because we haven't finished the story for this game and blah, blah, blah. There are all these sort of logistic things where you just try to put people in a safe bubble, almost literally in the case of the Dyson sphere. We don't do that anymore, and so one of the tasks that we have is to go back and clean some of that stuff up so that characters that were sort of sealed off from the rest of the universe that people love are actually reconnected with the universe in meaningful ways. So we'll be doing that, but it's going to be a long-term process. So you will get to find out what happened to those guys, and it will actually be germane to the core game story eventually.
Thank you.
Okay, I will hold it by hand. I was about 30, 40 minutes late, so I didn't hear the whole beginning. I was wondering if you were going to come out with a multiplayer beta like they did in Halo Reach, and when and if that's going to come.
No. We're doing large-scale testing currently and have been all year within Microsoft, but ultimately, given our schedule and resources, it was not. There's definitely a lot you can learn from a public beta, but I think when we're doing fairly radical overhauls of the systems, the thing you're going to get back from any beta is, just make it the same as it was before when you're doing this kind of evolution. So there's a lot we could have learned, but ultimately resources, time, schedule, and just our ability to get through this project meant that we were better off concentrating those resources internally. I should point out that when I say internal, lots of members of the public get to play and give significant feedback. And we do really, really extensive user testing with real players. This isn't just Microsoft people, but it's a sort of umbrella sheltered experience for those people, and they all have to sign NDAs. But real people just like you, and probably a couple of people in this audience might have been doing that, but they can't say because of the NDA. So.
But if any of you would like to play the game,
Yes.
it's available here.
Yeah, it's the RTX mini beta. So.
I have another question. Where would that be located? And when can I play it?
It's on the show floor, so if you head out the doors, go to the right, and walk in, it's right on the left.
We have time for 2 more questions. I'm so sorry for those of you that didn't get to ask them, but feel free to come to our booth and ask them there. Go ahead, left.
Okay, wow. I just want to say, first off, I've been playing Halo since Combat Evolved, and I've been fascinated by Cortana and her main role as a dynamic character and her changes in her appearances. I was wondering, as she enters her rampancy, is she going to be more of a danger to herself or to her allies, or is it equal?
I mean, if she enters rampancy, yes, all those things would be true. It's definitely, she's past due, basically, for rampancy in our story timeline, and we're going to absolutely explore that in a meaningful and interesting way, is all I'll say about it.
Okay.
Okay, last question. No pressure, but it should be like a super awesome
Better
best
be the
one
bestest
ever.
question.
No pressure, right? I was curious on who do you guys have lined up for your voice talent in Halo 4?
Well, we have obviously returning favorites like Steve Downs and Jen Taylor. We have a lot of new cast, and the biggest injection of new people and faces into the game and voices, of course, is in Spartan-Ops. Where, because it's episodic fiction, the stories themselves deal with human characters and real people and their relationships. The missions, of course, deal with a lot of shooting and blowing things up and having a blast. But it's a real story about people, so you're going to meet a lot of new characters and faces in the Halo universe, really for the first time since Halo 1. I mean, we sort of expanded it with things like Lord Hood and Miranda and stuff like that, but this will be the biggest influx of new characters and actually sandbox elements in the series history.
Thank you.
That was a good one to end on. Nice job. We are going to be doing a signing back at the booth right now, so feel free to head over there. Remember that we have war games playable on the floor, so one way or another, I hope we see you at our booth. Thank you so much for coming.